Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I am your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching, and with me, pretty much as always, is our marketing director, one of our other coaches, Yogi Sommier, all-around superhuman, Jen Waybor. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Adam.
We missed you last week on the podcast.
I
You
know.
just have all kinds of things going on. In fact, a colleague of ours, yours and mine, a former coaching client, had asked me this morning how you were doing. And I said, she's just busy. She's just got so many things going on. And
All
we've
the
obviously added a lot to that with a fiance and your future stepdaughter and additional pets. And breaking my heart, the loss of pets, as if Jack wasn't enough. Raj is, she's just such a good girl. Such a sweet dog.
Yeah, it was a rough week, but
It's been, being an adult is not a whole lot of fun. It's time consuming and expensive. And, well, people probably did warn us, but we didn't listen. So we just have to take it. It's the way that it is. All right, on with the show. We've got a really cool guest for you guys today. And I know this because she's been on the show before. You can't come on our show and be a douchebag and get invited back for another episode. So we know that that's not the case. Welcome back to the show, Christina Ray. Hey, Christina.
Hi, thanks for having me. And I'm so glad. Yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you there because thanks for doing this. We haven't discussed it before we went live, but it's your fucking wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah. So
happy anniversary.
Congratulations. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know us or don't know Christina, gosh, we're basically like old family friends, if I can get my head around this. But I think your dad is married to an old friend of ours who was introduced to us by an even older friend of ours. In fact, that was the very first person I employed when I started my mortgage company in 2005. Introduced us to your stepmom, probably in about that same era. And so it's been a long, long time. So how long have you been married?
It has been 8 years.
8 years.
Married for 8, together for 13.
Cool.
Very nice.
Good numbers. All right. So as we said, you'd been on the show before, and I think Jen had identified, I was eavesdropping on you guys, that it was in the spring of last year, so maybe 15, 18 months-ish.
It was May of last year.
May of last year. Whoa, have we seen some things change in the last 15 months. And I had this conversation with this same colleague, our former coaching client, who is a ridiculously successful real estate agent, as well as doing a lot of other things in his life, from charity work to also being recently married and so on and so forth. And one of the things that he had said to me that's really strange right now is pricing homes. How hard that is as a listing agent, and watching the fluctuation and watching this violent roller coaster ride of what's going on. And of course, we still have this ridiculous inventory shortage, major metropolitan areas, even Monument. We can get into the Whataburger later. But all of these areas are still, 10, 20% of what would have once been considered a healthy inventory, a balanced inventory. And there are all kinds of struggles going on for real estate agents right now. And Christina, you've been on the show. You know what we want to convey to our audience as far as, here are some things you can be doing to improve your business, improve your exposure, build your audience, structure your team, on and on. But can we chat a little bit about some of these struggles and what you're dealing with and what buyers and sellers are dealing with and how we're smoothing that path?
Yeah, absolutely. I before we had this meeting, that's what I was doing, was sending an email to one of my listing clients. We've been on the market for 2 weekends. Oh my gosh, and
we think that's a long time now. I know.
I know, holy smokes. But the conversation that I'm having with listing clients right now is, I tell them there's 2 words we have to have. It needs to be perfect, and we have to have patience. So perfect and patience are my 2 words that I'm describing when we're talking about listings. No more are the days that we can just throw up a house on the market and it will sell very quickly. It needs to be marketed perfectly. It needs to show beautifully. If it needs touch-up paint, we have to do that. We have to put the time into getting the house ready to go on the market instead of just saying, well, it's going to sell. And not that I ever took that perspective, because I still think people could, even if it wasn't an incredible location, that never justifies cell phone pictures for your listings. Yeah. So
I can't even go there.
think,
let's not even go there.
Right. But as far as, this season right now that we're in, it's perfect in patience, and pricing is critical. I've told many clients this, pricing is literally, if I have clients that have reached out and we're selling, 3 to 6 months from now, I tell them that their listing price is a moving target. I'm not going to say where we're going to list until probably a few days before, or maybe the week before, because that's how much inventory changes. I mean,
That's
the listing that I have, the listing I have now, there was no inventory for over a year, and then we had houses starting to come up. So that changed drastically just in the course of a few months when we had, nothing to compare. So pricing is absolutely critical. I think the other thing that I was having fun with on this listing is neighbors said, well, why did you price it so low? Of course, as an agent, I never want to hear that. And I'm known for wanting to set record-breaking numbers in the neighborhood as far as sales go, and but I think these days on market have been good for my clients, so that they don't ever feel like we're leaving money on the table, because we are truly priced at market value. I feel very confident in our price. But when you have the people in the neighborhood that think they're real estate experts and they're saying things about the home, that's been super fun to combat too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to remember the A in Zillow stands for accuracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one. So I think we're probably talking about something that we talk about a lot, and most of our conversations kind of circumnavigate this space: education. We've got to be making sure that we know what the fuck is going on in the market with listings, with sales, with comps, on and on. And then we've got to be able to convey that information in clear, concise, and logical ways to our clients. And I think that's probably true in any area where you're hiring an expert to do something so significant for you, whether it's real estate, mortgages, your attorney, your therapist, whatever the case may be. And that's funny, because we always joke about how there are 3 people you have to tell everything to: your lawyer, your shrink, and your mortgage lender. So we do make that joke quite a bit. But yeah, I think what we're probably talking about here is being educated, making sure you are gathering the data in a manner that you understand, and that you're able to convey that data to your clients in a manner they will understand. And of course, everybody's different, so we have to make sure that we're doing that differently. An engineer is going to understand that data differently than, a homemaker who, peeked in on your open house and wanted to know why you were pricing it so low. But she did her thorough Zillow research, I promise you. She knew exactly what she was looking at. So let me ask you this, because I think this kind of, entwines. I think these are kind of woven together. For those of you that aren't aware, Christina is in Colorado. She handles the Denver metro area and probably then some. If I asked her to go drive up to Vail to sell my $2 million house, she'd probably do it for me.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. That's about 100 miles for those of you that aren't in our area. But one of the things unique to what has gone on recently in Colorado, which is probably compounding this problem, is that we all just got our every 24-month valuation notice from the county tax assessors. And of course, I got mine. And don't get me wrong, I think for the most part, what I saw with my real estate in Colorado, they were fairly reasonable, barring my primary residence where I'm sitting right now. And for those of you that are familiar, I'm right in an area where 3 developments known as Highlands Ranch, Lone Tree, and Castle Pines all kind of converge. And I thought that the county assessor was a bit off their nut. Called another real estate agent that I know, said, hey, if You didn't sell my house for this. Come put a sign in the yard. He
Yeah.
said, I can't sell your house for that. And I said, right. So we did contest that value. And funny, I still haven't heard back, but neither here nor there. That's another episode, I'm sure. I'm sure they're all overwhelmed, especially in the populated counties that make up the Denver metro area. But how much of a problem has that caused for you? Because people are seeing these valuation notices. Hey, my house is worth $1 million. And Christina's thinking, I want to put it on the market for 800.
Right.
Or maybe even the opposite.
Right. I when the property evaluations went out, I didn't necessarily see it as a problem. I saw it more as an opportunity, because a lot of clients, I addressed it before they even were in their mailbox. And I think a lot of clients appreciated that because I literally had one client that thought that she had to then pay the difference in the house. And so it was about, educating them and everything. So I really just thought it was more of an opportunity. So what I told people, because of course my house went up too, and I honestly don't think my house, I don't think anybody's listening from, the town of Erie, but I don't think that they valued mine high enough, so I'm like, of course I'm not going to contest that. I'm going to leave it where it is. But ultimately, us Coloradans, we've been very lucky in the real estate market, as far as appreciation goes.
Oh, ridiculous. Well, every major metropolitan area. Come on.
Yes.
But here it's insane.
Yes. And have our property taxes now started to catch up to us? Sure. Fair enough. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you want your you want your value to go up, but you don't want your taxes to go up. But they are kind of going to go hand in hand. So, I said on the good side, look at how much equity you've gained in your home. But I really, like I said, took it as an opportunity to reach out to my clients to make sure that they knew what this meant. And, there were definitely clients that I was like, guys, I don't know where they came up with this. I think the other hard part is that people didn't understand it was basically a year ago that they found these values, and so they're trying to see if they're looking at Zillow or if they're looking at, today's market, it wasn't the same. And so it was really just having a lot of dialogue and conversations with clients. I haven't had a listing client yet that was like, well, my property is this, and so I want to list there. But yeah, I took that more as like an opportunity for good conversations and to really try to be the expert and help people, and it was time consuming trying to pull, comps for all of those and talk people off the ledge, when they got those. But that's ultimately, I think, one of the reasons that I'm successful is I don't do this, just for the next sale. I literally do it, and I've built relationships. And like you said, Adam, I mean, we knew each other through so many people, and that's because we're good at what we do. We work by referral, and we're ultimately introduced to, different people. And that's why I do this, is to genuinely be a resource. So.
Well, and let's talk about that for a minute, because I love hearing, and I wish more people had said something to this effect. Not that we've had that many conversations that circumnavigate this particular issue since it occurred. That was June. And one of the things that we really adopted and embraced, despite the time consumption that you mentioned, the added workload, was essentially reaching out to all of our clients saying, hey, did you get the notice? Do you think it's reasonable? If so, great. Please know that we're going to have to talk about escrow account shortages, these kinds of things in the coming months. On top of that, obviously, as the value of the house goes up, the cost to replace it if you burn the damn thing down is going to go up. Your insurance premium is going to go up. So we've got to talk about that kind of thing. But on the flip side, where no, we don't really think that this is reasonable, as I felt about my home, my primary residence, that it gave us the opportunity to do what we really all came here to do: help people, take good care of people, make sure we're doing what's best for their dollars. Great. Did you get the postcard? Cool. Send me a copy of it. We'll run it through our AVMs. We do use two. I promise you Zillow is not one of them. And let's see if it's even close. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's off by 50 grand. High by 50 grand. When that trickles down to what the actual change in the property tax was, what that it ends up being in your monthly payment, relatively insignificant. Let's let that sleeping dog lie. The alternative, of course, is that I want to contest it. 50 grand, fine. Maybe that's $20 a month in my property taxes, etc. But now we're talking about opening up the door to the county assessor, like Christina said, who may very well want to come in and look around and go, God, thanks for letting us know you're right. This house is worth more than we assessed it for. We're going to change it a little bit, increase those property taxes a little bit, so on and so forth. So yeah, I do think that it's important, again, to gather the data, be able to disseminate the data, so on and so forth. But what I really want to touch on here, because I welcome any and all ideas, and this is obviously one that we exercise every other year, is this is an opportunity to reach out. This is an opportunity to get in front of your clients. And if you're operating in a strict repeat and referral manner, and hopefully for those of you that are, you're operating in a fairly strict, not complete, but fairly strict repeat client and client referral manner. And I say that's important because you guys should never have to rely on somebody else doing their lead gen work for you to succeed. We hear this all the time with our coaching clients that are in the mortgage space. Well, you know, the realtors just aren't referring deals anymore. Okay, well, maybe they're not doing their lead gen work. Why aren't you doing yours? So I do think that's important from a lead gen perspective to have these moments, income tax time, certainly property tax time, and a whole host of others. And if you guys have other ideas, feel free to chime in, those of you watching or listening here live or in syndication. But this is an incredible opportunity, although that window is just about closed for this year, but we've got another 22 months before we'll have it again, to help people, to stay in front of people, to let them know that you're watching their back when it comes to these huge investments in their lives. So really, if you guys are a little proactive, just be a little proactive about your contact management, about your staying in front of people, about your touches, about your lead gen in general. This is a phenomenal opportunity to do all of these things, to take good care of people, to help them out, to watch their back, and to stay top of mind. You just need to come up with what those are. So we've done a number of different things, from contact management, calls, text, social media, etc., to make sure that people know we're going to watch their back. So tell us a little bit about when you started, what your actual campaign, for lack of a better term, was to reach out to what's a whole host of past clients to make sure that they knew what the fuck this meant and how that was going to impact them and how you could help.
Yeah. Well, so I think I want to say that because they were in our mailboxes in May, weren't they? I mean, everything.
No, that's not possible, because the period,
or was it
the assessment period? Oh no, you could be right. Yeah, because the assessment period was June of 20 to June of 22.
Right.
So yeah, it could have been May. That's true.
I think that that's around when I was telling Jen, my kids went back to school last Wednesday, and I feel like a whole new woman because like I have a schedule. So anything that happened in the past, 2.5 months is a little blurry, but yeah. So I basically, what I had done was I knew that they were coming out. And so that's what I used as an opportunity to call my database. I mentor some agents here in my office. And I feel like that is the biggest thing that agents say is they're like, I don't know what to call about. I'm like, we have opportunities all the time presented to us for reasons to call. And that was one of them, was this, I'm like, this is literally what we do for a living. It could, and people, like my clients were so thankful, that I had reached out. Some were like, I don't even know what you're talking about, and then they would get it and they'd text me and be like, here it is. I know what this is now. So really it was, I literally called every person in my database and just let them know, that they were getting this. And if they have any concerns or if any questions about the value, to call me. And I probably did, I didn't even think it was that many, but I probably did about 16, evaluations to say, here's where you're at, here are the steps to take. But I had very similar conversations. If it was pretty close, if it was, 10 to 15K, I'm like, I don't know if we want to, reach out and ruffle these feathers over 15,000, because what if they say, oh, well, actually, this is a little better, and they decide that it's going to be higher than what they originally quoted. So we were very strategic on those conversations, and I just thought it was the perfect time. The other thing that I loved that you mentioned, and I tell agents this too, is I think every year, once a year, just like you have to do your annual doctor appointment, you should have an annual real estate review. You should talk to your realtor and review your home, because like you said, that was a perfect point. Your home value's gone up. Building costs have gone up. Have you talked to your insurance provider? Heaven forbid. I had a client a few months ago and her house caught on fire.
Oh.
And it's those things that it really makes you think, like, it makes you think, about how much of a resource we can be to people to make sure that, they have all of, their insurance is lined where it should be, that they have, that they understand how much equity they have in the home. So I think that's another thing, huge advice is, you, just like you do your annual doctor's appointment, you need to have an annual real estate review with your agent.
Couldn't argue with that. And I think we actually end up doing it in our office twice a year. But obviously,
Right.
Mortgages are a little different than real estate for sure, especially
Sure.
with the volatility in the mortgage-backed securities market, et cetera, et cetera. So a couple of things there. One, you guys that are representing buyers and sellers, boy, don't you just kind of know everything about these people? I mean, you've seen their home. You know what kind of a home they're looking for, which means you probably know about kids and pets. You probably know about their work, all kinds of things. Why the hell wouldn't you just pick up the phone and call? Aren't these supposed to be friends of yours? Right?
Yeah.
Christina and I do it. She's never bought or sold a home for me. I have never financed her mortgage. And we still just chat a few times a year. Hey, what the hell is going on? How are you? What kind of chaos are you seeing? How's your dad? That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, and I'm going to make a plug here because it's just a great opportunity. One of my very earliest coaches and mentors, and this is 20 plus years ago, a guy by the name of Carl White, who's really slick with this kind of stuff, recently wrote and published a book called Overcoming Call Reluctance. For those of you watching or listening, get it. Read it. Even those of you that say, like I did, oh, I don't have any call reluctance. Yeah, you do. Yeah, trust me. There were still all kinds of things that I needed to improve upon, so on and so forth. And let's also remember that when we're talking about something like picking up the phone to stay in front of people, we're not specifically isolating the phone. So for those of you that are 23 years old and haven't been in real estate that long, haven't been in mortgages that long, that can be a text message. That can be a social media post. That could be a direct message system on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Insta, on YouTube, on TikTok, on and on. Just talk to people. Help them out. This is really not that complicated a scenario. We don't really need these triggers. They're great. Take advantage. Income tax time, property tax time, so on and so forth. Take advantage, but you shouldn't need them. Be in front of your people. This is where you build relationships. This is where you strengthen relationships. This is what makes people in sales that are direct to consumer for high ticket items like real estate, mortgages, insurance, financial planning, hell, even guys that are selling Ferraris and Rolls Royces. These are the kinds of things that further those relationships. Please, for the love of God, do that work. And of course, it really shouldn't feel like work.
No, make the calls.
Yeah. All right, so Christina and Jen, I know we're going to run over, so forgive me, but for years and years, literally decades that I've been doing this, we've always accepted and absorbed what that balanced real estate market looks like, right? So we're joking about you're having a house on the market for 2 weekends, like, oh my God, it hasn't sold. Well, let's remember historically that a balanced market is defined by 6-month inventory. You should expect it to take you 6 months to sell your home. You should expect it to take 6 months to find a home. That's a balanced inventory. Now, of course, for that to happen in the area that the three of us are in, we would need something like 35,000 listings at any given time. And do we even have 10% of that? Do we have 3,500? Maybe. Okay.
Maybe.
So, but it's been this way a long time. Okay. And I think there are a lot of causation factors. We're Americans, so we don't do multi-generational living like they do in Europe, Asia, Latin America, pretty much the rest of the world. The boomers, and I'm not calling out boomer behavior. It's just such a big population. They're living longer, staying in their homes longer, no inventory there. The millennials and Gen, again, don't take it personal. I'm not calling out millennial behavior, but you're now the only generation bigger than the boomers, and you're all of homeowning age and want to be homeowners and are buying up homes. So we don't stop reproducing. 8 billion people on the planet now, just factor after factor after factor contributing to this. I think this is kind of the face of real estate. I don't know that over the course of my life or career, we're ever going to have a buyer's market again. What is that going to mean for you and your clients? And I mean, if we kind of, not you, I know you have, but your buyers and sellers, have they kind of adopted the understanding that this is how real estate works now?
I think that I think the tough part, Adam, in this market is that one specific area or house, it may be weeks, or I mean, average days on market for their neighborhood is 54 days on market, and we're sitting at 13. So I'm like, looking at everything, we're good. But then I also see, whether it be agents in my office or friends that are agents, and they're like, I have multiple offers in Littleton, so it's
with 2 days on the market.
Right. So I think that the market that we're in is all about communication and setting the expectation, because I don't want to tell buyers we have the ability to get seller concessions and we can do this, because it's incredibly house specific. And that's really just the market that we're in right now. Is you could have a house that has multiple offers. You could have a house that we could get seller concessions, and they, that's just going to be the case. And I think that goes back to, are they pricing it right? Is it, going to be, does it look perfect? Is it ready for the market? Or are you just throwing this house up and hoping for the best? So I really think that the most important thing right now is setting the expectation with clients. I don't know. I feel like clients, once something kind of switches, it takes a while. And then by the time that they finally adapted to that, things change again. So it's just like, okay, now I said last year, I literally had whiplash. I felt like from January 2022 to December 2022, I can't even, explain it. It was
a bit of a roller coaster ride. Yes,
it was. And even for, I would say 2021 as well. So I think it's just being informed. And I know we've said the Z word a lot, and it's funny because part of not everybody agrees with this, but whenever I have a listing appointment, the first thing I do is pull up Zillow, because I need to know what I'm going to be combating, because
what they're going to see.
Yes. So I always go to what is the public seeing, because that's probably what the number could be in their head. So that's one of the first places I go when someone says, hey, I want to, talk about listing. I'm like, great. And I want to see kind of what they might be seeing. So that's one of the first places I go, not because it's accurate. I go because I need to know what they're possibly seeing.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I do also think it's really strange, because we might be the only podcast on the planet where there's no problem with Adam dropping F-bombs, but God forbid we actually say out the Z word. All right. So, all right. So, yes, Jen, I know we're at our time slot. And obviously, when it comes to Christina, we could probably talk for hours about this stuff, and we've barely scratched the surface of those subjects. So let's talk about getting Christina back on the show in one of those last time slots that we have for next year. And then why don't you bring us up to speed, because it's been a minute, on all things Just the Tips. A lot of activity about the mastermind this week, I caught.
Yeah, September 29th, 30th is the 7th annual Mile High Mastermind, which every time I say 7th annual, it still blows my mind. So that is at the University of Denver. It's our sales-related, mostly realtors and LOs conference that we do every year. Very workshop-y, very hands-on, amazing people that come back from all over the country year after year. So it's a very special event to us. So those tickets are on sale now. There are still some available. You can text TIPS to 63566 to get that information, to find episodes of the podcast, book a free hour of coaching, copy of Adam's book, literally all the things JTT. Text TIPS to 63566.
All the things. And
all the things.
We should be close to having the sales mindset book out here too. We've been through final editing. We'll see how long publication takes, but fingers crossed we can knock that out before the end of the year, and then I'll pick up the one I've been working on for longer than I want to admit. So yeah, okay. Well, Christina, thank you. I know that this is a challenge to carve out this kind of time on a Monday morning, and IT issues aside, another killer episode. We do miss seeing the backseat of your car, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time. And I always love being
time.
on here. Yeah, like you said, I could talk forever with you guys. So,
well, I'll be in touch, Christina. We'll get you booked for next year.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And for those of you listening live or in syndication, you can check live episodes. You can catch live episodes of How I Met Your Mortgage at 10:30 a.m. on Mondays. That's Mountain Time, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time on Mondays. And we will be back next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Again, I'm Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. Thanks again to Jen Waybor, our marketing director, one of our other coaches, and just all around superhuman. And Christina, nothing but love. Thanks for doing another episode with us, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.